Hello, hey class, hey people. How are y'all all doing today? That's great. So, I guess today's topic's going to be one or two parents, that is, which is better. Um, so of course, in my opinion, being a single parent and the experiences that I've been through in life, I believe a single parent home is better due to certain circumstances. Of course, a two parent home is always best for a child as long as that two parent home is raising that child the way a child should be raised. Not with all the arguing and the fighting and the yelling and physical fighting, emotional fighting, verbal fighting, putting down the other parent or arguing back and forth, or you discipline the child and then you get into an argument with the other parent because of the way you discipline the child. Like, as long as the two parent home is healthy, of course every relationship is going to have some type of bickerment, but it's not going to be like knockdown drag out fights. It's not ww what is that, WWE or WWF? I don't remember what it is. I don't watch wrestling. So anyway, um so yes, I truly believe that a two-parent home can be the absolute best in raising a child as long as that two-parent home is a loving and caring and safe environment for that child to be raised in. From my past experiences and past experiences that I've seen other people go through, sometimes a single parent home is in the best interest of the child. As for like my instance, it wasn't best to raise up my children in the home with the other parent because it was a very abusive relationship. Not going to say all the abuse was just put on to me. I mean, I fought back. Of course, I stood my ground. I wasn't just going to get beat up, but I tried to go toe for toe with them as much as I could. But I thought in my mind that if I kept my boys in a situation where they always saw the father beating on the mother and the mother fighting on beating on the father, even though it was in self-defense on my part, I didn't want my boys to grow up thinking that that's how a relationship is supposed to be, because it's not. If you feel like you need to put your hands on someone, you don't need to be with that person, period. Um, whether you have children or not together. I didn't want my boys to end up in a relationship when they got older and think that they were supposed to beat on the woman because that's how they were raised. And if you got daughters, it goes the other way. You don't want your daughters in a relationship and getting beat on because that's all they know and they think that's how a relationship's supposed to go. Um, I do not feel like my children missed out on being shown love and caring and kindness. I think my children actually got a lot more of it because I didn't have to share my time with anybody but them. They were the only men in my life. So I get off of work, I come home, all of my attention's on them. So it's not, some kids feel neglected in a two-parent home because the mother and father pay each other more attention than what they pay the children. Um, so statistics are not always correct. Statistics are only done on groups of people, certain groups of people that doesn't fit the standards of the entire world. I would like for people to understand that they can't always believe what they see and believe what they hear. A lot of these statistics that are put out there is just what, in my opinion, because I'm not completely anti-government, but I am anti-corrupt government. Um, it's like there's always issues anywhere and everywhere out there, but it's like certain government likes to feed off of negativity and make certain groups of people look less than what they really are. The government really puts down single mothers a lot. I mean, some of these single mothers do give us a bad name, but there's a lot of us single mothers, and not just mothers. This goes out to fathers as well. Um, we bust our butts taking care of our kids. We bust our butts to spend time with our kids, balancing work and then being the mommy and the daddy in the household. Um, Disciplining the kids is a lot easier when you're a single parent. Um, in my opinion, raising the kids was a lot easier for me because I know I'm a good person. I know I have good morals. I know and understand what work and money and respect is. I made sure my children understood the same morals and respect and being grateful that I understood. Um, I'm a very loving person, and a lot of us single parents are very loving people. We just had children with the wrong people. But those children were meant to be, because if they wasn't, God wouldn't have let you have those babies. Everything happens for a reason. Um, it's a lot more common these days to be raising children in a single parent home. It's not like 50, 60, 70 years ago where you basically got stoned to death or whatever because you had a child outside of wedlock. Times have changed a lot between now and way back then. Of course, way back then, if you was a woman when you started your menstruation, you were married off. And you wasn't married to somebody that you loved. You got married to whoever your parents thought was best for the family for you to marry. And then you're popping out babies by the age of 14. And so times are really, really different now. Women back then wasn't allowed to work. Women didn't have rights. Women didn't have a voice or an opinion. The only thing women were good for back then was to be, as my grandfather used to put it, barefoot and pregnant. And back then, it was a woman's job to do nothing but be pregnant, have the baby, cook breakfast, cook lunch, cook dinner, clean the house, take care of the kids, and the man provided everything else. The man paid the bills to keep the roof over the head, whether if there was any bills, because if they had electricity, well, when electricity became invented, but way back then there wasn't cable or cell phones and this, that, and the third. But times are really different now. Women are independent. Um, a woman can now have a baby without a man present. All they have to go down is go to the donation center and pay some money and have it injected and pray it works. And whoop, they're pregnant and they have a baby. So times are completely and totally different. If you have the money, the education, um, the morals, the heart to raise a child by yourself, there's not going to be anything wrong with that child. That child is going to know how to love others. That child is going to know how to love their self. That child is still going to have clothes on their back, food in their mouth, and a roof over their head, whether they're with a single parent or a two-parent home. I would much rather raise a child in a single parent home that is full of love and nurture and kindness, instead of a two-parent home where there's negativity and abuse or drug usage or alcohol usage. And I don't think a child should be raised in a single-parent home that is abusive and drugs and alcohol involved in that either. Like, children should be raised up in the best environment that is possible and that should be available to a child. Children are the innocence of this earth. We're supposed to love them and protect them and shelter them from all the evil that's out there. So I just want people to not believe everything they read, hear, observe when it comes to the negative things that are said about children being raised in a single home. Because how many people out there can sit there and say, oh, they killed somebody because they was raised by a single parent, or they robbed a bank because they were raised by a single parent. You can't blame people's actions on the fact of whether they were raised in a one parent or two parent home. And that's basically the point that I'm trying to make.